In this video, we are going to revise the NCERT chapter 6 of class ninth, tissue. Okay, last chapter we have already discussed about the fundamental unit of life, about the cell, and in this in this video we're gonna step out and we're gonna step in another chapter, a tissue. So like we will be only discussing the important points in this video and will not study it thoroughly. So we will be basically discussing about the plant tissue and animal tissue. There are two types of tissue, plant and animal, and and there are many types of plant tissue and also many types of animal tissue. We will be discussing these types of tissue in this video. So let's start it. So what tissue basically is, a tissue is a cluster of cell. In plants, vascular tissue conduct food and water from a part. So basically, first talk about tissue. What tissue generally means. So let's start with reading first paragraph. It will be clear to us about the tissue. Then we will be revising subsequent topics. From the last chapter, we recall that all living organisms are made up of cells. In unicellular organisms, a single cell performs all basic functions. For example, in amoeba, a single cell carries out all movements, intaking of food, gaseous exchange, or an excretion. But in multicellular organism, there are millions of cells. Most of these cells are specialized to carry out specific functions. Each specialized functions is taken up by a different group of cells. So we are hereby introducing with the tissue. Each specialized function is taken up by the different group of cells. Since these cells carry out only a particular function, they do it very efficiently. In human beings, muscle cell contracts and relax to cause movement. Nerve cells carry messages. Blood flows to transport oxygen, food, hormones, and waste material, so on. In plants, the vascular tissue conducts food. Now, is talking. This was the functions of specialized functions in human cells, and also in plants, uh, vascular system conducts food and water from one part to another part of the plant. So the multicellular organisms show division of labor. Cells specializing in one function are often grouped together in the body. See, uh, cell specialized specializing in one function is often grouped together in the body. This means that the particular function is carried out by a cluster of cells as a definite place in the body. This cluster of cell called tissue. So now it has been now clear from the above things, the cluster of tissue which perform a specialized function in multicellular organisms are called tissue, is arranged and designed as to give a highest possible efficiency of a function. So in a multicellular organism there are different suppose this is a multicellular organism, there are different separate functions, they are each are connected, and each organism each specialized organs perform a specific task, and these the cluster of cell called tissue is arranged in a designated designed so that to give a highest, so this is made of a tissue, and the tissue is made in a way that to perform a specific function of that organelles. Blood, phylum, and muscles are the example of the tissue. So we have introduced about the tissue. Let's now revise the whole chapter shortly. We have already done 5 minutes. Plants have a large quantity of supportive tissue. The supportive tissue are generally are dead cells. We will discuss what are these supportive tissue. Basically xylem and phloem are the supportive tissue. And in animals, most of the tissue they contain are living, and in plants they are stationary or fixed, most of the tissue, and they are mostly dead. Most of the tissue are dead in plants. That is why the plant bark is very hard, and in animal it is opposite, most of them are living. Now first discuss about the plant tissue, and after the plant tissue we will discuss about the animal tissue. So basically we have divided plant tissue into two subcategories. One is merismatic tissue and merismatic tissue, and another is permanent tissue. So merismatic is a temporary tissue. So when the plants grows, the new cell develops, and these new cells are called merismatic tissues. And when the new cell is there, and after that new cells convert into permanent tissue, and the new cell, this merismatic tissue, converts into permanent tissue. And the permanent tissue, there are types of merismatic tissue. We will also discuss that. Permanent tissue, for example, here I have make this diagram. Permanent tissue are divided into two types. One is simple and complex. See, in simple we have a parenchyma, sclerenchyma and collenchyma, and in complex permanent tissue we have a xylem and phloem. Okay, we will first discuss about the merismatic tissue. We will go to permanent tissue later. The growth, uh, the growth of the plant occur in a certain specific regions. This is because the dividing tissue is also known as merismatic tissue. These are the dividing tissues which divides and which are responsible for the growth of the plants, is located only at these points. Depending on the region where they are present, merismatic tissue are classified as apical, lateral, and intercalary. So apical tissue are on the top, intercalary are in the middle, and lateral, which means side, it's this way, sidewise. Apical merismatic is present at the growing tip of the stem or root. This is at the growing tip. And cells of a merismatic tissue is very active, so they divide frequently, having a dense cytoplasm and thin cellulose wall. So now we have discussed about the dividing tissue, which is the merismatic, the part 1. And we there are three types. All have a similar function. Just because of location they are divided into three, just according to the, depending on the region where they are present. We have divided the merismatic tissue in three parts. One divides the top part, one divides the middle part, and another third one divides the lateral part, means side part. It widens width. So let's talk about the permanent tissue and how the permanent tissue forms. The process of taking up the permanent tissue shape and size is called differentiation. So what happens is the merismatic tissue, what happens to the cell formed by the merismatic tissue? They take up a specific role and lose ability to divide. As a result, they form a permanent tissue. So merismatic tissue converts into permanent tissue when they lose ability to divide, and they take up specific functions. I'm messing it a lot. So and this process is called a differentiation. When this process of taking up the permanent shape and size and specific functions is called differentiation. So first, the merismatic tissue is only for the division, and now when the merismatic tissue loses ability to divide, and they take a specific role ability, and they lose this division uh, ability to divide, and they becomes a permanent tissue. So Let's discuss about further permanent tissue. Permanent tissue are again two types. One is simple and one is complex. Simple permanent tissue. A few layers of the cell beneath the epidermis are generally simple permanent tissue. Parenchyma is the most common permanent tissue. So this is a division, a section of a stem of maybe plant. So this top outer layer, which is we call bark, is epidermis we call, and then inside it, beneath it, it is a colon chyma, and then it's parenchyma. The flexibility of a plant is due to another permanent tissue called column-chyma. So this is the outer layer. The basically the parenchyma is the most common simpler tissue. Few layer beneath the epidermis are generally the permanent tissue, and the flexibility is because of column-chyma, which is this is the column-chyma, and then beneath it is a parenchyma. So there are also other types of simple tissue which are called parenchyma, column-chyma, sclerenchyma, transverse section, and longitudinal section. The epidermis is usually made of single layer of a cell. In plants living in very dry habitat, epidermis may be thick since protection against water loss is critical. So he's talking about due to the transpiration. Transpiration means when the water loses water, uh, plant loses water. This is called uh, transpiration, and so that the outer layer epidermis needs to be thick so that there will be minimum water loss in the plant. Stomata are enclosed by two kidney shaped cells called guard cells. These look like this way. They are necessary for exchanging gas with the atmosphere. Transpiration, oh, this is a transpiration. Transpiration, the loss of water in the form of water vapor, also takes place through the stomata. They also takes place epidermis. That is why the epidermis of dry plant living in a dry habitat is very thick. Now, uh, now we comes to a permanent tissue, a complex permanent tissue. So there are two types of permanent complex tissue. One is xylem and one is phloem. Are the example of such complex tissue. They both conducting tissue. Conducting tissue, maybe they are conducting. They are channelizing something which is water, mineral, and food. They conduct water, mineral, food in a plant. So they conduct minerals. This is why they are called conducting tissue. Are constitute as a vascular bundle. So there are many bundles of these tissue this way. Uh, Xylem consists of trachea, vessels, xylem parenchyma, and xylem fiber. This allows them to transport water and mineral vertically. So xylem is transferring, conducting water and mineral, and phylum fiber is mainly support. Oh, sorry, a xylem fiber is mainly a supportive function. It supports the plants, and it make the plant stronger, harder. And phloem, a second type of complex permanent tissue, is a phloem. Transport food from leaves to the plant of the body. So what xylem is doing? Xylem transporting water and mineral vertically upward this way, and phloem is doing transporting food from the leaves in during photosynthesis. In the leaves of the plant, the glucose is formed, and that molecule is being transported to all over the plant by the phloem tissue. So there is a trick to remember. So xylem starts with X and phloem with the PH. So where is F is already phloem. Na phloem means food. Remember this. Phloem food. Phloem. They have a same pronunciation. F and F. Phloem F F for. For is there, and another xylem is water and mineral for that. This is how I remembered. Now we have discussed about the plant tissue. Now we will be discussing animal tissue. Animal tissue have a multiple parts, and it is important to learn because we are also animals. So we divided animal tissue into majorly four categories. First is epithelial tissue, and then connective tissue, muscular tissue, and nerve tissue. Let's discuss each in detail. So here is a diagram in a stomach. We cut it, we viewing it, and you can see this type of muscle is there. This is called muscle fiber. This is like a muscular tissue. This is a muscular tissue. It is a cell, smooth muscle fiber, and nucleus is there. On the basis of the functions they perform, we can think of different types of animal tissues such as epithelial tissue, connective, muscular tissue, and nerve tissue. The blood is a type of connective tissue, and muscle is a form of muscular tissue. The epithelial tissue is like the covering or protective tissue. They are the outer covers, like this is the stomata. Stomach. An outer layer of the stomach has everything we will discuss later: the skin, the lining of the mouth, the lining of the blood vessel, lung alveoli, the tube, kidney tubules are the made of epithelial tissue. So they are covering, they covers a particular organ. So to make it different, or may to protect it. So this is why lining of the blood vessels, skin, and lining of the mouth is made up of this covering tissue or protecting tissue. It protects and covers a particular organs. This is why it is called epithelial tissue, the outermost. So it is also, so there are also different type of epithelial tissue. Maybe a column like structure. It might have a cubical structure. These cells are column like, and in this it is a cubic, and then it is a have a random more, and this is square. So different according to their different size, they are also subdivided, but overall the main function is the covering and protecting. Now next type of tissue is a connective tissue. Blood is a type of a connective tissue. What connective tissue do? Blood flows and transport gases, digested food, hormones, and waste material to the different part of the body. Bone is another example of the connective tissue. The blood and bones are both connective tissue. Two bones can be connected in each other by another type of connective tissue called ligaments. Uh, two bones are connected by a ligament, which is again a connective tissue. This tissue is very elastic and has a considerable strength. Tendon connects the muscles to bone. Bone to bone is ligament, and tendon is for muscle to bone, and are another type of connective tissue. Tendon fiber are fibrous tissue are and with a great strength but limited flexibility. Another type of connective tissue are cartilage, has widely spaced cell. Cartilage smoothen the bone surface at joints. So it is also present in nose, ear, trachea, and larynx. So nose, we have a hard thing. Yeah, this is suppose a nose. This is suppose a nose. So this has a this is made of a cartilage. Also ear is our human ear is also made up of cartilage. This is a connecting tissue. Areolar connective tissue is found between the skin and muscle. The fat storing adipose tissue is found below the skin between internal organisms. So, adipose tissue, areolar tissue, cartilage, tendon, and the ligament, bone, and blood. These all are the type of connective tissue. Suppose there is a skin on the top layer, it is epidermal tissue, and there is a fat tissue, fatty layer, which is epitose, and then comes the connective tissue which connects the fat and the muscle layer, and there is a muscle tissue beneath that. Now discuss about the muscle tissue. Muscle tissue are also divided into three subcategories. The muscle tissue consists of elongated cell called name muscle fiber, responsible for the movement. This is responsible for the movement. The muscle contain special protein called contractile protein. It contracts, which contracts and relaxes and cause the movement. Muscle present in our limbs move with when we want to and stop when we do, when we so decide. So like, now we're talking about divisions of the muscle tissue. There are three types of division. One is voluntary, like those who are voluntary, like if we stop it, it stops. If you want to contract, so these are the voluntary tissue. And these muscles are so called uh, these muscles are so called skeletal muscles, as they are mostly attached to the bones with the help of movement. Under the microscope, these muscles so alternate. So these like voluntary muscles are connected to the bones so that the movement of the body may happen. Under the microscope, these muscles so alternate light and dark bands satiation when stained appropriately. As a result, they are called satiated muscles. So this is the first type of the muscles, which is voluntary, and another type of muscle is, which is second, the muscle of the movement of the food in an alimentary canal, or the contraction relaxation of the blood vessel are involuntary movements, and which cannot be really start we cannot really start them or stop them simply by wanting to do so. So these are called involuntary muscles, and they found in iris of our eye, uterus is there, bronchi and lungs. They are involuntary, we cannot control it. Like alimentary gland, like there is a movement in the food movement in alimentary gland. This is called peristaltic movement. This is how the food travels from our mouth to anal due to this muscular movement. And the muscles are involuntary, there we cannot stop by a wish. So these are called involuntary muscles, and they are also called unsatiated muscles. So this is the second type of muscle. And third type of muscle is the cardiac muscles. The muscle of the heart show rhythmic contraction and relaxation throughout the life. These are also involuntary muscles, are called cardiac muscles. So we can simply divide, we have already discussed three. Voluntary, there are two types of there are only one types of voluntary muscle, which is satiated muscle, and there are two types of involuntary muscle. One is this unsatiated muscles, which is in alimentary canal and other uh, and found in iris and uterus. And third one is a heart muscle, cardiac muscle. So we have discussed three types of muscle tissue. Now we discuss about the nerve tissue. This is gonna be maybe last one. uh, the ability to respond to stimuli. Nerve is what they do, like they transfer messages, stimulations. So the ability to respond to stimuli, however, the cell of the nerve tissue are highly specialized of being stimulated and then transmitting the stimulus very rapidly. They what they do first, highly specialized being stimulated. They receive the stimulation. They are highly sensitive muscles, and also they also transmit the stimulus very rapidly from one place to another place in the within the body. Brain, spinal cord, and nerve are composed of nerve tissue. This is a human brain, and this is spinal cord. So, and these have a uh, uh, these have a nerve tissue, so that we can sense, we can hot, cold, everything we sense through stimuli is because of these nerve tissue, because these nerve tissue is responsible for stimulation. So this is a diagram of the nerve tissue. This is how nerve tissue looks. Nerve ending is there, axon is there, and dendrites and nucleus is there. So there is, suppose there is another nerve tissues there. They carry signal this way, and there is some chemical in between them, and due to the chemical responses, uh, the stimuli can transfer into another nerve cell, and they again transmit some chemical, and it will be received from nerve endings of the third nerve tissue. This is how it works. The signal that passes along the nerve fiber is called nerve impulses. Nerve impulses allow us to move our muscle when we want. The functional combination of a nerve and muscle tissue is fundamental to the most of the organisms. This combination enables animal to move rapidly in response to the stimuli. So let's quickly revise this one. Tissue. What is tissue? Tissue is a group of cells having similar structure and function. Plant tissue are mainly two types: meristematic, which is temporary, and permanent. These are dividing tissue, and these are permanent tissue. Have a specialized function. Meristematic tissue are dividing tissue present in the growing region of the plant. Permanent tissue are derived from meristematic tissue. Once they lose ability to divide, and they are classified as a simple and complex. Simple are like parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma are the three types of simple tissue. Xylem and phloem, which conducts water, mineral, and food. Water, mineral by this, and food by this. Phloem are the complex tissue. Okay, these are the animal tissue, and plant tissue are the epithelial, which covers our particular organs, protect it, and connective, which connects the different part of the body: blood and bones, cartilage, ligaments are the connective tissue. Muscular tissue, again we just discussed three types of: satiated, unsatiated, and cardiac. These are three types of muscular tissue. And nerve tissue, we don't have any further division as of this chapter. As we discussed in the chapter is nerve tissue. We might have a further division. We might study in high classes, but in this chapter we don't have any further division of this nerve tissue. Depending on the shape function, epithelial tissue is classified as a spiral, cubical, column shaped, and ciliated, and granular. The different type of connective tissue in our body includes areolar tissue, fat tissue, areolar tissue. Maybe this is, I don't know what the meaning of this. Bone, tendon, ligament, cartilage, and blood is a connective tissue. Satiated, unsatiated, and cardiac are the three types of muscle tissue. Nerve tissue is made up of neurons, and that receives and conducts the impulses. So thank you for watching this video.